In life, things happen that are out of our control, and we've all experienced catastrophe or loss at some point. The emotional and physical costs of these events are enormous and leave us needing to focus on things that matter the most, this being our loved ones and our personal well-being. But unfortunately, there's often other issues that looms in a time of crisis. No matter what we experience in this country, there's no doubt that it'll affect our pocketbooks in one way or form. Whether it's a lawyer, hospital, mortician, or lender, someone is most likely knocking on your door and asking for a payment when it's the last thing you want to think about. And these services are never cheap. If you're not prepared, you could be in for a world of hurt, or at the very least, a scramble to start a GoFundMe. Ask some friends and family for money, or take out exorbitant loans when we know we should be working on other things. But luckily, these issues are not new, and most of these expenses can be avoided by taking one simple step: getting insurance. Insurance is there to make sure we get paid when life happens. While we can't deal with the emotional pain, life insurance keeps the bills paid. Here's how it works. Generally, you pay a fee each month or at another specific interval called a premium. In exchange for this premium, the insurance company agrees to cover your expenses and liabilities up to a certain amount for certain life events. Say, a hospital bill or a car accident, for example. Now, when you hear the term insurance, a few types probably come to mind. Home, health, car insurance are a few of the most common versions. But in reality, there's an insurance for almost everything, including my favorite, alien abduction insurance, a close second to zombie apocalypse insurance. Unfortunately, we don't want to talk about these insurances today, but go over the insurance coverages that everyone needs. While you don't need to go as far as zombie apocalypse insurance, there is a good chance that you don't have all the coverages you need. And you may not totally realize it because they tend to cover relatively infrequent events. Things that are out of sight, out of mind until you're rudely hit by them. Think death, health events, and lawsuits. These things happen to millions of Americans every year and come with high expenses. The insurances we'll talk about are the ones that apply to almost everyone, but think about your unique situation. Are you a business owner? Are you protected if a customer or employee goes after your business? Or you may be an athlete that uses their legs a lot. Believe it or not, you can and may even want to consider getting coverage for those as well. But first on our list of must covers is automotive insurance. This is one of the most popular insurance coverages, and generally, most already have this. It also helps that you're legally required to have auto insurance in every state except for New Hampshire and Virginia. Even though you're required to have it, the rules around how much car insurance you need differs state by state, and all car insurance is not created the same. It's available in varying degrees, so be sure to shop around for the lowest rate and make sure you can get the coverage you need. One issue with the varieties of car insurance is that it can be tempting to undercover yourself, but this can be a very costly mistake. According to Value Penguin by LendingTree, Americans had a 1 in 63 chance of getting into a car accident in 2020. You can thank the car-dependent infrastructure that we're forced to rely on. So the chances are that multiple people you know will get into an accident, and that very much could be you. Make sure you have enough coverage to take care of you and your vehicle in your time of need. But at the same time, you should also be wary of over-covering yourself as well. For example, collision coverage will protect your car in a time of need, but if you're driving a $1,000 beater and it's on its last legs, it might not be worth the premiums you're paying to insure that car if it's not required in your state. So when choosing auto insurance, be sure to consider your driving record, the vehicle's value, as well as any and all legal requirements in the specific state you live in when picking your policy. Next on the list of must-haves is home insurance or renter's insurance. The home is often the most expensive thing we own, as well as the most costly to repair. On top of this, most of our belongings are also sitting in our home as well. You want to make sure that you're covered for some of the more typical uses, such as damage to property ranging from natural disasters to theft, but also have some liability protection as well if someone is injured on your property. Be sure to read and choose your coverages wisely, as there's usually a limit to what's covered. Whether you don't get it in your plan, you need to be able to prepare and save for, or try to have it covered in an umbrella policy, which we'll talk about later. For example, if you live in an area prone to natural disasters such as hurricanes, it can be too expensive for the insurance companies to cover those events. As a result, your insurance policy may decide to not include coverage for hurricanes. If your insurance does have limits on coverage, make an attempt to protect your high-value items as well. Next is life insurance. An unfortunate truth to life is that everyone dies, but when we die can be unpredictable. The average life expectancy in the United States is 77.5. According to a study published by Ryan D. Edwards in the Journal of Population Economics, the average lifespan has a standard deviation of 15 years. Standard deviation is basically how far a number generally gets from the average. That wide range of variance means you can die significantly later or earlier than expected. It's important to always be prepared for these adverse events. This video is about insurance you need, and when it comes to life insurance, all you need is term life insurance. Term life insurance is the cheapest of life insurances and provides a set amount of money in the event that you die. As long as you're paying into the policy, your beneficiaries will receive that money on your death. But if you stop prior to your death, then they will not get anything. Some people see this as a downside to term life insurance because you don't get any money in the event of an error. But these funds don't just cover your family's living expenses, but can provide for a costly funeral as well. And because of their low costs, they can generally be considered no-brainer policies. The average term life insurance policy for a 20-year-old male is $19.18 for a $250,000 policy. Policies generally go up slightly in price as you get older, but stay in this range until you get into your 50s. At that point, it jumps to $56 and increases exponentially from there. Now, if you haven't already yet, you'll most likely be offered a version of permanent life insurance. This is not term life insurance, and it's very likely you do not need it if you're the average person. Do your own research, but in general, they'll cost more in premiums and fees in exchange for protection throughout your entire life. Some have a death benefit, so your family gets a payout in the event of your death. But unless you have a high net worth and a complex portfolio, you're generally better off taking the term life policy and investing the rest of the money. Health insurance is next on our list. Now, the health insurance industry is the biggest in the country, and that's for a good reason. Medical costs are expensive, and Americans are always sick. With that being said, most everyone should have health insurance, but it should come at varying levels. Are you younger and do you only visit the doctor for regular checkups? Considering opting for a higher deductible plan that will charge you a cheaper premium, but will ask that you pay more out of pocket as a result. If you go with this option, make sure you have enough saved to cover your deductible in a high yield savings account or an HSA. While you're young and healthy, there are still no guarantees, so at least have the cash ready. If you're older and visit the hospital frequently, then at that point, you'll likely want to opt for a more expensive policy that can save you on hospital fees. Now, health insurance extends, and there are other types that we overlook but also need, such as disability insurance. According to the Social Security Administration, nearly 25% of 20-year-olds will become disabled before the age of 67. On top of that, 65% of workers do not have disability insurance. Disability insurance can keep you and your family afloat given an adverse medical event. For example, say you are diagnosed with cancer. Health insurance will cover your medical expenses, but disability insurance can provide you with income to pay your living expenses while you're sidelined. Many other events can keep you sidelined for a year or more. Mental health events, musculoskeletal injuries if you work a manual job, and rehabilitation. These disabilities can lead to needs for long-term care. This is where long-term care insurance comes in. Whether it's in a nursing home or in-home care, long-term care is expensive. The median cost for a nursing home is $9,034 a month. The average long-term insurance cost for a 55-year-old with $165,000 in benefits is $102 a month. This isn't cheap. You don't need this type of insurance until you're older though. Many recommendations say you start at about 55 years old. But as you can see from before, the savings are significant. If you're considering providing long-term care for your older family members, sit down with them and encourage this option. To close it off, we have a couple honorable mentions as well. An umbrella policy can be a great way to cover what we'll call the rest. If your current policy doesn't cover all your assets or needs, the umbrella policy can cover the rest for you. For those of you who have pets, like I do, note that they will get sick. Make sure you pick up some pet insurance so you're not hit with a massive bill and you can't take care of it, or you have to put it on a credit card. This has personally saved me almost $10,000 in the last decade. Make sure to check out all the links in the description below, as they are what I use or would use in specific situations. This includes the best budgeting program in the history of the internet.